Life Rhythms with Ryan Sky. Observing the world around me, looking inward, trying to make sense of it all.
Now it ain't easy, but I don't need no help. I got a strong will to survive. I got a deeper love, a deeper love, a deeper love inside. I call it pride.
Welcome to Life Rhythms Radio Show. I'm your host, Ryan Sky. Life Rhythms is a radio show that revolves around my personal growth journey. As a DJ and a producer, I spend a lot of my time observing the world around me, looking inward, trying to make sense of it all. I've been doing it in song form, and now I do it on my radio show. Each episode of Life Rhythms, we feature one guest and one song or album, and I choose topics around the guest's music and their own life and career for us to talk about. I'm excited for today because I have with me my dear friend, DJ, producer, Hector Fonseca.
Hi.
And we, like, just some of the things for people who are new to you.
Yeah.
20 plus #1 Billboard-charting remixes, right? You've remixed for Rihanna and Sia and
Gaga, Beyonce.
Yeah. You own Audio Foreplay Records.
Yep. Audio Foreplay Records is a independent label. We uplift LGBTQIA+ artists that are independent.
Yeah.
But we also work with all kinds of artists.
Yeah.
That's our main focus. And we remix things into dance remixes, so DJs play it around the world.
And you've been at the forefront of queer dance culture for decades. You tour all over the world. Well, I started my career in New York. That's how we met, right?
Yeah, I actually found you on like SoundCloud, I think.
I was doing bootlegs.
Yeah, you were doing bootlegs, and I was like, "What is this? This is kind of cool."
I was just practicing, trying to learn how to remix stuff. Yeah,
and I was like, "Wow!" And then I started to kind of delve more into look into your social media, and I was like, "Oh, this kid's like playing sets. People like his stuff.
Yeah."
He's doing quality stuff," and I hit you up, and
you had me open for, you were headlining, I think, New York Pride.
Yeah,
and I got to open. That was the first time I got to play a party like that.
Yeah, that was a good one too. That was at Fuerza Bruta, which was like a Cirque du Soleil meets Pride party.
Yeah,
so it was very unique, very cool. I was happy you were able to do it.
So grateful, and I wanted to have you on the show. I want to have you on the show because I want to talk about dance culture, how it's evolved over the past 30 years, where it's at now, where it's going in the future, and just also the intersection, because you're at the intersection of dance and queer and Latino and so many.
Fashion a little bit.
Yeah, with the shades. And also you got a little gift, right?
Yeah, I did.
What gift did you get?
You gave me these cool.
You have to rock
rainbow
them.
Glasses.
Yeah. That was my gift to you. It was like a little gag gift. Because I want to talk to you about the culture and dance music and stuff. And also, you wear shades. You rock shades. You're in the fashions, your thing. So I'm like, I'm going to give him that.
Keep a little bit of mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that a lot of times with all these cultures being, coming together, it makes for a better experience. For me at least, I love fashion. I started in fashion. A lot of my first gigs were for fashion events.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you knew that, but
no.
I played, I did the music for Jill Stewart, Victor Alfaro, at one point Tommy Hilfiger, and a bunch of others, Cynthia Rowley. And so I worked in fashion, and I did fashion events, and that's how I kind of came up. I actually came up with DJs like Samantha Ronson and
oh, cool,
and Mark Ronson. Actually, we used to play the same parties, Honey Dijon. So there's this culture in New York in the 2000s that was like fashion, dance music, queer culture, and it all kind of mixed together. Fashion culture, it's all kind of mixed.
And you've
together.
been keeping it alive.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, for me, there's still a lot I want to do in terms of the fashion world, but I'm always connected to that. In the music world, I've done a lot, but there's a bunch of other stuff I want to do, mainly like crossing over more. It really is about transcending. Once you've succeeded within your community, you want to transcend and, you know, bring more attention to the community that lifted you up. And, you know, for me, it's a constant evolution. I never hold on to the past. I just kind of reference it every now and then. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So we'll talk about all this. We're going to talk about your career. We're going to talk about the dance culture, how it's evolved. We're going to talk about your single, A Deeper Love Pride with Natasha Bassez.
Yep. My muse.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back here with DJ Hector Fonseca right here on Adobe Radio.
I call it pride.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Welcome back to Life Rhythms Radio Show. I am your host, Ryan Sky. Adobe family, I've got here in the studio with me DJ producer Hector Fonseca.
Hey.
And friend.
Yes.
Longtime friend.
Longtime friends.
I've been wanting to have you in here for a while.
Yep.
And those of you listening who are new to Hector, 20 plus #1 billboards.
Yeah, dance remixes.
Remixes, right? You've remixed for Ariana Grande and
Rihanna, Sia, Lady Gaga, Beyonce. Erica Jane. I've done stuff for Blondie.
Yeah.
A lot of acts and a lot of independent artists.
This episode is brought to you by Mixillery.com. I'm excited to have Mixillery on as a sponsor personally because Mixillery is a platform that you can use to find and hire someone to remix your song. And why that's so important is because anybody can go online and you can search music producers, you can search for remixers, you can hire somebody, but it's like, how much do you pay them and who should you hire and what genre should you choose? And with option overload, it can be a little overwhelming to figure out what's the best use of your money. Because what it comes down to is remixes are marketing tools. A remix of a record will get that record in front of a larger audience. It will get that record played in venues and areas like the gym or a club or a car or a fitness studio, places that maybe your original song may not be appropriate for. So it is an important marketing tool, but then who remixes it is important because first of all, the quality of the remix, and also maybe they have their own audience that's going to discover this remix. Maybe they have a following. Maybe they have a radio show. Maybe they tour and they'll be playing it out live. These are all sorts of things that are important. So Mixillery is a service that will help match you with the best remixer for your budget. So check out Mixillery.com for more information on this. And you've been doing it. The reason why I want to have you on the show is because you have a career. You've been doing it for decades, right?
Yes.
And you've seen the evolution of dance culture.
Oh yeah.
And I was really hoping to have you on because I want to talk about what was it like when you first started? How has it evolved?
For sure. I mean, I'm coming up on 25 years. 2000 was actually my first professional year.
Okay.
1999 was more of a, let's see if I like this DJ thing, because I was still modeling at the time. So my friend who was a DJ trained me. He was a hip hop DJ. And I was like, this is kind of fun. I love the music. I really love the craft.
Yeah.
2000 was my first professional year, and almost 25 years later, still here.
Did you start out, did the musicality come right away, or did you have to teach yourself as you went?
I had to teach myself, for sure. So as a kid, I wanted drums really badly, but we couldn't afford them.
Yeah.
So I would play drums on pots and pans and things. And
yeah.
And so when the digital age came around, and we started producing everything digitally, that was my opportunity to explore music and not have to pay for a studio. So I could do it at home. So that's when I started dipping into production. My first program was Ableton.
First one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I kind of... I kind of went into it with just an open mind. These are the DJs I love. This is the sound I love. Let me see if I can mimic that.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. And, once I started to mimic that stuff, then I started to develop my own things.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's how you started. And right now, where you're at in your career, and for a while, you've been really at the forefront of queer dance culture, right?
Yeah.
And you've seen, I'd say you're one of the top in the world.
Thank you.
DJs in the community.
I would say Honey's the top, but
Yeah, I would.
Honey Dijon.
Oh yeah.
But Honey and I, we came up together in New York.
Okay.
We used to play the same gigs. We had the same residencies. And I think we're part of a class of DJs that came out of New York in the early 2000s that kind of transcended in some ways.
Yeah.
So we've always done both.
Okay.
Like the mainstream dance scene, the underground, or actually more than two. There's the underground dance scene, which we dabbled in, and there's also the queer scene. And so, yeah.
And there's a lot of overlap. People listening may not realize how dance music was birthed from queer clubs.
Oh, yeah.
Culture, right?
Oh, for sure.
Do you...
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with Studio 54 if you really want to get to the
started
meat
with
of
disco.
it. With disco, and I think from there it kind of evolved into the house music scene that was with like Larry Levan, which kind of brought all the worlds together and kept that going. And then that eventually evolved into this thing where queer culture was blending now with rave culture. And so it kind of like things kept blending. And I think somewhere in the late 2000s, there was like a split off when EDM came around.
Okay.
It was like EDM is over here and the queer scene's over here. And they didn't mix. And so like, I think a lot of DJs that I was producing music with tried to kind of bridge the gap and make everything kind of,
Yeah.
mixed together again.
That's interesting. It's split off because you had mentioned about Studio 54.
Yeah.
There was disco, but then there was the disco backlash.
Right.
Right? You had like the stadiums where people were burning disco records, and it went underground mainly in the queer. I guess were they clubs or they were like warehouse parties, and the DJs were taking disco records and they were speeding them up.
Yes.
And they were putting them on with 4 on the floor kick drums,
sampling the percussion section.
Okay.
And looping that.
Uh-huh.
And then taking it from there.
And that was the seeds of house music.
Yeah.
But there was no term for it yet, right?
No, I mean, I think the term eventually developed, but there was no term for it. It was just kind of like an extension of disco.
Right. And there was a club in Chicago called The Warehouse.
Yes.
And they were doing a lot of this experimental stuff there.
Yeah.
And there was but people heard the music, but it was so new and there wasn't a name for it. And they would go to the local record stores and they're like, do you have, like, where can I find this music? And they're like, what music? They're like, oh, they're playing at The Warehouse, like the warehouse music. So then they had a section that was like warehouse, and then house was kind of short for that.
Yeah.
And then became known as house music.
Yep.
And now today it's really dance music, and it's evolved. I mean, there's so many genres now.
Yeah, I mean, I think every decade a new name kind of comes around and it turns into this like new era. Like the EDM era was one thing, but those are all subgenres. It's all dance music,
And when you started in the 2000s, I'm trying to remember what was happening in dance culture then. Like, what was happening mainstream? Because by that point, because I want to highlight that this sound was kind of invented and worked out in the queer scene, but then it eventually started to become adopted by mainstream culture.
Yeah.
By the 2000s, for sure, you had the club culture. And who was big at that time? What was happening at that time? Was that trance? Was that like Tiesto?
So trance started to make a move towards being more mainstream.
Okay.
And so you had acts like Tiesto and Armin van Buuren, and you had Pete Tong to some extent, and there were a few others in there that transcended the scene and kind of went into mainstream, and things kind of blew up from there. Trance was big on the radio,
huge,
yeah,
and there's similarities between. I want to talk about. Okay, so what there's the term circuit music.
Yeah.
And it's really slang for big room.
Yeah.
Like big room queer. How would you describe it? Because I have my own idea of what it is, but you've you've been playing in that world for years. How
Yeah.
would you describe circuit music?
I mean, I think circuit music started out as one thing, right? It was closer to house, progressive house, trance. It was this melodic,
Yeah.
beautiful sound with vocals and
Yeah.
uplifting music, right?
Yeah.
And then it kind of started to mesh with the Latin sound.
Yeah.
So it became a little bit more sexy, shaky. And once it became sexy, it kind of, I think Latin culture kind of overtook circuit.
because
and
Latin culture is very sexy. It's it's a fun.
So the drums took over, right? So then you
Okay.
had these big drums, you know,
Yeah.
and that started to define circuit music. You know, it's because I always tell people the difference is like, so EDM, you go to a show, there's a lot of bouncing up and down. People jump up and down.
Right.
And when you go to a circuit party, for example, it's more so people swaying.
because they're in
It's a
their
sexy thing.
they're in their body, they're in their hips,
Yeah.
and it's more
It's more of a sexual thing.
Yeah.
I think there's a sexy vibe to it. Now there are different types, right? You know, there's like kind of like the hard Brazilian sound,
okay.
which is like these big drums and a lot going on. And then you have like the Mexican sound, which is kind of a sexier vibe with a New York touch. There's a
sexier vibe with the New York touch.
with a New York touch. There's a connection there in the musicality that reminds me of stuff that we did in New York before circuit was a thing.
Like what kind of stuff?
Specifically, I would say the shepherd's tone, for example,
Okay.
which is like a specific way of playing notes that typically is not what you want to play because there's a minor element to it. It's something that Hans Zimmer does a lot, actually.
Okay.
And so look up shepherd's tone. It's this weird way of playing notes that's
I'm gonna go, keep talking. I'm gonna Google while we're doing this because
Yeah,
I
it-
want to have this on the show. It's Shepherd's.
and it's actually it's nicknamed the devil's tone actually because it's got like a sinister kind of vibe to it. But in
So I'm searching shepherd's tone on Google, and it's
Yeah.
saying like one of the suggestions is, what does shepherd's tone do to you?
yeah.
The shepherd's tone is colloquially referred to as an auditory illusion. The effect is an endless ascension of pitch, seemingly rising to some sort of resolution but never getting there.
Yeah.
It's the shepherd tone, named after Roger Shepard, is a sound
Yeah.
consisting of a superposition of sine waves separated by octaves.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. When played with the bass pitch of the tone moving, it is referred to as shepherd scale. Okay. So they were doing this in New York?
Yeah, so New York, I mean, we were at Star 69 in the 2000s,
Yeah.
and we always kind of, you know, Peter Rauhofer, the
Yeah.
legendary Grammy winner, it was his label, and he had won a Grammy. He was working with all the big artists, and he actually, fun fact, he turned down Lady Gaga. He turned down her demo. She brought him a demo to be signed to the label, and he turned her down.
To Star 69.
Yeah.
No way.
Crazy.
That is crazy. Wow.
And then like 2 years later, she was the biggest star on the planet.
Wow. I wonder what her career would have been like if she went in a different direction.
See, I had said, had I heard the demo, I would have said, sign her, you know?
Yeah.
And I had, you know, we had, of course, seen her in the clubs in New York and whatnot. So we knew that she was that girl.
Yeah.
You know, she had that.
But it just didn't do it for him?
No, he felt she was kind of a wannabe Madonna, was the term I got.
Okay.
And I
see.
felt, no, you know, I didn't see the comparison. I saw Lady Gaga as maybe being inspired by the same way Madonna was inspired by Cher.
Or Marilyn Monroe or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, Gaga had her own thing. It was, you know, it was very unique. It was very New York.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, it was unique. So we were at that label putting stuff out, and we were considered to have like a cool, edgy sound. And part of that sound was that we kind of delved into the minor as opposed to the major keys.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of had this cool underground vibe, which is common now in dance music.
I was going to say, there's a lot of that. And now with the dance labels.
Oh, yeah.
Is there wanting to sign cool quote unquote cool records.
Yeah, it's not necessarily happy music. It's kind of just cool, edgy.
Yeah.
You know.
And Peter Rauhofer,
Sexy music.
you apprentice under him?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when was that? Because you said you started in the 2000s. So when did you start working with Peter?
I started working with Peter in like 2003.
Okay.
I started to attend sessions. You know, I kind of became his right hand, like minion in some sense, because I would like drive him.
Errand boy and
I would run
apprentice.
errands. I would drive him.
Yeah.
I would, you know, carry the crates of records for him, and I would, you know, just do anything because he was my idol. So I kind of like told myself, hey, I got the opportunity of a lifetime. I met someone I admire.
yeah.
I kind of want to be there for them and help support them any way I can. And so
By this point, was there already a legend around him?
yeah, he had won it. He was the first Grammy winner in that category.
What category?
The remixer of the year.
Oh, he was the first of the queer community to really cross over mainstream.
Yeah.
And when he passed away, they showed him at the Grammys
Yeah.
on that list where they showed
And all the major artists, they paid tribute,
yeah.
you know?
And he was one of the ones that really pioneered those. Because I had Tommy Sunshine on here,
Yeah.
and Tommy talked about having religious moments on the dance floor, about kind of that golden era of
Yeah.
this time frame where you would have these like 10-minute long mega mixes of songs,
Mixes were that long. Mixes were
Yeah.
8 minutes.
and they would just take people on this
Yeah.
journey.
My first major label remix was for Khalees,
Okay.
and I revisited it recently. It's like 8.5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Wow. So you were working with Peter. That was in
Yeah.
the 2000s. And then what happened?
So from there, you know, kind of, I think the circuit scene saw this group of DJs, myself, Peter Rauhofer, and Alfrenism, as the next.
Do we know where the circuit name came from? I don't know this.
I think it was just a function, right? Because I you know,
Because now it's just slang for like really any big room,
right?
mostly any big room party that's
Yeah,
predominantly queer.
yeah. I think it came
Unless it's like
from
a
the
warehouse.
actual circuit, right? There was like a schedule. I didn't experience it because funny enough, the first time I DJ'd a circuit party, I had never been to one.
Okay.
I had never even been to a circuit party. So like I got hired based on my music. It was like, you know, we love what this kid is doing.
Yeah.
Let's like put him in there.
So you just made a guess of what you think they're going to want, and you just kind of,
Well,
I've been there
Yeah.
showing up to parties where I'm like, I don't know what to expect, but I'm just going to.
We had a big catalog. So, I mean, I was able to like pull from our catalog and from our artists at the label and kind of put together killer sets.
What were you playing off of?
Vinyl
Vinyl.
and CDs.
Yeah. And now you're on USBs?
USBs. Yeah.
So you started off with vinyl.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Vinyl was interesting. I mean, you had to be real picky. You couldn't buy
Yeah.
50 songs that you liked because they were
You had to
$10,
carry them.
$12 each,
Mm.
right? So if you're a new DJ, you're not going to go and buy the 50 records you like that week because that is going to cost you over $500.
Yeah.
So you would have to narrow it down into the like 10 best. And then if you didn't want to spend that week, you could narrow it down to your 5 best, you know?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So starting on the 2000s, and then from there to here, was it just a steady increase of growth for you, or was it ups and downs?
Yeah. So it was really playing parties where I kind of gained my notoriety in New York. And then once I started to travel for gigs, it kind of grew from there.
Okay.
And then at that point, I was producing stuff that was on an independent label, but charting on Billboard.
Okay.
So the major labels saw that as like, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So at some point, I kind of just put it out there in the universe. I was like, these are the artists I love. And I would just keep saying it, and I'm going to work with them. I'm going to work with them. These are, you know, that time I loved Katy Perry.
Yeah.
And I kind of just put it out there in an interview, and like a few months later she asked me to remix
Oh, really?
Peacock. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Wow. And how would you say, where would you say things are at right now with the music in the community? Because I'm seeing like a crossover again. It's almost like things split off for a while, and like you were saying, there was EDM, there was the circuit stuff, but now I'm seeing things kind of coming back together, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think house music made a comeback post EDM. It was kind of like the how would you say, like the yin and yang. Like, you know, EDM was like big, and so the opposite of that was house music, and that kind of came back. And a lot of up and coming artists were doing house, and for me, a big moment was Kiza, her video.
Hideaway?
Okay. That was, I think, a big...
She's been on the show.
That was a big thing.
Yeah.
And for house music coming back into...
Oh, right, because that brought it into...
Yeah, mainstream kind of. So, yeah, a lot of things like that happening. And house came back. And I think eventually, you know, people in the EDM scene, people in the circuit scene started to gravitate back to their roots, which was house.
Okay.
I mean, if you listen to some of the EDM guys,
yeah,
you listen to their stuff in the early 2000s, it sounds nothing like what it was at the peak. You know?
I see a lot of evolution with the mainstream DJs, but I don't necessarily see it with queer DJs. I don't see an evolution of sound too much.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
What do you mean? Like
Tiesto's early years were heavy trance, and now you listen to Tiesto's remixes in the past couple years, and music
Slap House.
Slap House. Yeah. That's a big difference of genre. It's a pretty big change. I'm not really seeing that. I would love to see that with more queer DJs, but
I mean, I kind of see it. There are DJs that are producing good house stuff.
Yeah.
I think I'm seeing it more and more in the not only queer community, but in the circuit spaces as well.
Okay.
And even like DJs like myself, like I've gone back to my roots and my stuff in Star 69 and the earlier days, and I've been playing like tech house and progressive house. And
yeah. I see you working it when you post clips online. I do see you working it into your sets. And I really like that you're managing to play a big room sound, but you're still including stuff that's fresh and new and maybe not like technically that genre, but it's still working in that space. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to, for me, I'm trying to go back to my roots. Those are my roots. So, you know, so for me, it's kind of a return to what I used to do, and I'm trying to do new things with it. You know, I'm using like some AI technology. I am like, you know,
I saw you were posting some stuff on TikTok. What did you post the other? What were some of the things you posted?
Yeah, I did some covers.
Yeah, you did like if Sia,
right? If Sia was a singer at Gaga's 2009 MTV VMA performance of Paparazzi.
So you have AI having Sia sing Paparazzi.
Yeah,
in the style of Gaga, right?
Or specifically to that performance.
And it sounds just like Sia was doing it.
Yes,
that's crazy.
And for me, part of the motivation in doing that is there needs to be a conversation about this, because as a singer, right, it's probably a little bit terrifying to think that your voice can be cloned, and it can sound like that. And so it's like, since that is like that, how can we protect singers and their intellectual property, but at the same time open up creativity for new DJs and for producers to kind of play with that and see, you know.
Yeah.
Eventually there's going to have to be a conversation about that, you know.
I saw a post that, did you see the one David Guetta did where he has Eminem?
Yeah.
He had Eminem, AI make a rap about Future Rave.
Yeah.
And so you have Eminem singing about Future Rave, and then he just sampled it and he's playing it live.
Yep. That was really cool.
Yeah. Did that inspire you?
Eminem was pissed.
Well, I never found out if he found out. I'm sure he found out about it.
Yeah,
he wasn't
pissed.
happy about it.
He wasn't happy about it. This is the guy that said nobody listens to techno, and now you have techno DJs not needing him and doing songs with his vocals. So
Yeah.
I'm sure for him it was like, nah, this is not happening.
Yeah, I'll be curious. Do you think AI is going to replace DJing? How do you think it's going to affect what we do?
DJing, I don't think so. I mean, part of the big attraction for people to DJs is the actual DJ, you know, the personality.
Yeah. And also AI can't read the crowd, right?
Right.
It's never going to be able to, I don't know, but gauge the crowd, see who's there, watch how, maybe. I mean, if they have a way of like tracking everyone's eye movement and body language and they could see if they're responding, I mean, I guess there could be a way to do it with video cameras and stuff.
Yeah.
That would be so soulless though, right?
Yeah. I mean, you kind of, the great thing about DJing is that our personality and, you know, what's in our soul,
Yeah.
what we see visually, how we, you know, translate that, how we work with it, what we decide to do creatively.
Yeah.
That's something a computer can't,
Yeah.
you know, duplicate. Even in AI vocals, it's pretty close. But there've been a few times where I was, you know, it's like, well, you know, Mariah would throw in a little extra riff in there, and it's not there. It's sung more cleanly. So I think it won't ever fully replace. I think it adds to the creativity, but I don't think it'll ever fully replace.
I wonder if people will appreciate the human error more.
Yeah.
Kind of like those little intricacies of mistakes and errors and that unique thing that the computer is not going to have. Because the computer stuff will be like perfectly written songs.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
AI, you know, AI tends to like have perfect tone, perfect pitch. They don't miss a note and they don't sing off key. It doesn't, you know, the AI tends to never sing off key or out of sync or in the wrong tone. So, and it's kind of beautiful sometimes with singers when they don't get it exactly right.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh yeah, that's interesting actually.
This is kind of cool because I feel like we went from an era of perfection of trying to filter our, you know, like the Instagram filters and the face tunes, and we wanting everything to look better and better. And now I feel like with AI, we're going in the other direction where we're actually appreciating the imperfections.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like the pendulum swinging the other way.
I saw there's a TikTok kind of this TikToker that talks about like trends and where things are going, and she was talking about how aging is actually going to be celebrated now because we've had so much photoshopping, and so much kind of denial of the natural process of aging that at this point people are going to start celebrating the fact that you made it to 60, 70 and
I love that.
You look beautiful and you have wrinkles and you have gray hair and that's beautiful too, you know. Yeah.
I wonder what she's looking at I think so too.
I think it's part of it is she referenced a few, or she mentioned a few influencers that are older.
Yeah.
She had this one influencer, she was like 65, beautiful silver hair, wrinkles, and very little makeup, and she's just beautiful, and everything she, you know, stood for, like her, you could feel her soul is just beautiful. She's a beautiful person. So,
oh my God, I'm so excited about this.
Yeah.
Wow, thank God.
Yeah. I see it. I think Gen Z, you know, and Gen Alpha are not about the Photoshop thing so.
And they're not about the artist kind of like presenting a perfect image of themselves online and like everything is, they want to see the process. They want to see, they like the song, but they want to see how you got to the song. How did the song come about?
I think it's going to be great for artists too, because unfortunately there have been some great artists that have been thrown away because they were older.
Yeah.
And there was so much talent and so much uniqueness there, and just they never got their chance because just being older. There was this one singer I found like 10 years ago. And I don't want to mention her name because of what was said, but I hadn't heard such a unique voice and vocals like that. It was like Rihanna meets Sia meets something totally new.
Okay.
And she had this amazing music. It was dark but poppy. And I said, I need your demos. I'm taking them to Republic Records. So I took her demo, took it to Republic Records and my contact there. And I was like, you know, you have to hear this. This is incredible. And they were floored. They were like, wow. And they were interested. And then there was a person that was working as a kind of A&R person for them. So I don't want to say this was Republic doing this, but someone that was working for them for A&R, he said, what's she look like? And I said, I took out a picture. I said, this is her. And the first comment was, oh, she's old. She was like 42. And right there, I felt like the artist. I was crushed because I thought, here's this amazing artist, and just her not being 20 means that she can't shine. Yeah. So I think that's going to be, I think that's going to change finally.
I think it is.
And I see it in some ways. So
yeah, there's a lot of deprogramming that's going to have to happen because it is changing, and those types of standards are not relevant anymore.
Yeah.
But a lot of us are still carrying around kind of like old imprinting.
Yeah.
Right? Of like you're saying, your age or the way you look, or I have to present myself in a certain way.
I think Sam Smith is experiencing some of that, unfortunately, because he's doing cool, interesting things, and people are just kind of like, we want you to do this thing we're programmed to see in a male pop singer. We don't want to see this new crazy Sam, as a lot of people say, like, oh, he's gone too far. And I think that him putting himself out there like that and being his authentic self and being unafraid is going to open doors for other artists as well. Himself, Lil Nas X, but I think Lil Nas X kind of came in up the gate, whereas Sam kind of like shifted.
Yeah, Lil Nas X did not ease into it. He was just like you said, straight out the gate.
So it'll be interesting to see what comes of that.
The industry is going to come around to it because it's just business, and they really just mainly care about numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, like now it's all about like what's trending on TikTok. They want to sign you if you've got the followers or your song's trending. It's all the data and the analytics.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the bottom line always.
Yeah, I had Kennedy on. She's a songwriter.
Yeah,
and she was saying on her episode that like she won a Grammy. She wrote for Dua Lipa and has billions of streams as a songwriter. And like the label that we were talking about, she's made them lots of money with her songs. But when she showed them her music for herself, same quality songs. And she said she was at the label meeting playing her songs, and the head was crying, and Kennedy's thinking to herself like, "Oh, this is going really well," because it was.
Yeah,
they really love the songs and stuff. And then the head was like, "Baby, like, when you get to 2 million TikTok followers, let us know. We'll write out the contract. We'll send it over. We'll sign you." So they were basically like, "You need to have."
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I'm getting mixed signals because that happens where they're saying you want 2 million followers, but then like I had the Scarlet Opera on.
Yeah.
They don't have millions of followers. They just have like a buzz.
Right.
And they did get signed to Republic. And they're kind of developing them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm still seeing the developing, but then I'm also seeing where it's kind of mixed.
Yeah, I think labels are, have realized that.
And I think the labels quite don't know, right?
Yeah.
What were we going to say? They
realize they kind of need to go back to developing artists, because I think they tried to pick up artists when they already made it for a while now. Yeah. And it's just like there's no lasting impression, because it's just like there's no ground up, feeling. So I think we're going to be seeing labels probably start
with like legacy, like building legacy artists.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah. So, you want to have a catalog that's long lasting, that's going to bring in the money for years and years.
Yeah.
You got to kind of do that from the bottom up.
Yeah.
Whitney and Madonna and Mariah, they were caught early and developed, you know?
Yeah, true.
So
yeah, you don't want to be viral today, forgotten tomorrow. It just doesn't really work.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break.
Yep.
I have my guest here, DJ Hector Fonseca. We're going to take a break, and when we get back, we're going to talk about your single, Deeper Love, and more about the music right here on Adobe Radio.
Now I've got love in my heart. It gives me the strength to make it through the day. Oh, love.
She looks cute. She's very cute. We should just keep going. We should just keep this going. Rolling start. This is nice. Yeah.
I like it.
So we're back here, Life Rhythms. I've got my guest, DJ Hector Fonseca.
What's up?
And we are featuring your song, A Deeper Love.
Yep.
Which we played clips of it coming into this and the opening of the show.
Deeper Love Pride, it's a cover of a classic by CNC Music Factory, Aretha Franklin.
Yeah. Can you come closer to the mic?
Yeah.
Or we'll move the mic closer to you.
That better?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
There he is. Yeah, so it's a remake of, and CNC Music Factory, they produced it, right?
Yeah, the original was with them and Aretha.
Yeah.
Aretha Franklin.
Okay. So the original, I actually pulled it up. I think it came out in 94.
Yeah, around that time.
I was going to pull up lyrics to it. But, okay, let's see. So the original, A Deeper Love, produced by, do you know how to say, it's David Cole and Robert
Clavillis.
How do you say?
Clavillis.
Clavillis.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the CNC.
CNC Music Factory. Dun, 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 dun. Those guys.
Yeah, 1991. Why did you remake this song?
So, with it being a classic and nostalgia being back, being a big thing in music, I wanted to reimagine what is a pride anthem with Natasha Bassez, because she and I have done headlining gigs worldwide together.
Yeah.
In Madrid and in New Zealand and Australia and Mexico, Brazil. So,
and what's the Vienna thing you go to?
Oh, Life Ball in Vienna.
Life Ball. Yeah.
Sadly, no longer around, but
really,
it ended, I think, in 2019. And so we've done all these big shows and prides and stuff, and I thought it's a good time to remake the classic.
Yeah.
Do
you remember prides what were prides like when you were growing up or when you first started compared to now? And also because you have a unique vantage point because you're headlining many of them all over the world.
Yeah, again, I was never a big fan of like large gatherings and parades growing up, strangely enough. So I never experienced any of this until I was an adult, and I was DJing, and a lot of times that was my first. So it was exciting for me because I got to see community and people coming together from all walks of life, straight, bi, queer, trans, across the spectrum. Everyone coming together for music and fun and celebration, and it really kind of solidified the fact that I was like, I want to do as many as possible because this to me is what it's about.
Yeah, and you do.
Yeah.
What are prides like now from your vantage point on stage? Like, what do you see from city to city? I've always wondered, because I haven't had the experience yet of playing all over the world. And my feeling, my guess, my gut tells me that probably if I were to get to play it all over the world, I would see how similar things are. Maybe a lot more than what I would think.
Yeah.
What is it like for you playing around the world? Playing American music, but then because you're playing, like you had mentioned earlier, you play in Brazil.
Right.
And there's a Brazilian sound, and you play in Mexico, right? You play, and are you going there? What are your sets like when you go to each of these countries?
I mean, when I go to play in another country, I'm being brought there because people play my mixes.
Okay.
DJs play my mixes, and the crowd there knows my music.
Okay.
And the crowd that's going to that party.
Yeah.
So I have to feature my stuff.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'll do some research and see like a couple of tracks that are popular in that area. Because, you know, if you play in Rio, Brazil,
Yeah.
there's always this, you know, whenever I would go back, there would be one or two songs that were new, that were local, that locals really loved, right?
Yeah.
For a while, it was Anita before she was known.
It
was like Anita,
Yeah.
Anita. And
I really like her.
yeah, she's cool.
I saw her in she was on the Call Her Daddy podcast, and that was the first time I actually like listened to her speak.
Yeah.
And just after that, I was like, I really like her. She's really sharp, and just her whole personality and vibe.
She's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, she's the little girl from Ipanema, and she, you know, she's in Miami, so you get a little bit of both. You get the Miami culture mixed with the Rio de Janeiro culture,
Yeah.
which is interesting because they're very similar.
Okay.
You know, Rio is basically a beach,
Yeah.
a city with a beach right on the, you know, just like Miami. So
Yeah. So you'll throw in a few local. That's
Yeah.
always so fun to put something on that you just know that
Yeah.
they're probably not expecting, but then they hear it and they're like, oh my God, is he playing this?
it can backfire though. Like you have to be careful.
Okay.
Like I remember one time I thought I'm playing in Mexico. I have to remix like a classic Mexican song and play it.
Okay.
And they did not like it because they weren't there for that. They were there for something else.
Oh,
you know?
right.
So, you know, sometimes you have to tread lightly because sometimes it doesn't always work out.
I've learned that too as a DJ. There's been times where I've had something I was excited to play that I think is going to go a certain way.
Yeah.
And then you put it on and they're just like not responding to it the way I thought.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? Interesting.
That's where the art of DJing, the
Yeah.
skill, right? There's the art and then the skill of DJing. That's part of it, is reading the crowd and being like, oh, they didn't love that one. Let's try something else.
Where did you learn? I have a story of why I'm good at reading crowds now, and it's because I had a pretty like traumatic experience my first gig. I was asked to DJ Fire Island.
Okay.
One of the tea dances.
Okay.
At the pool. Which, for those of you who are not familiar with tea dance, it's also slang for like sunset, daytime to like sunset outdoors.
Yeah.
Kind of dance party.
Right. It's kind of like going
usually
from
on like
daytime into the night.
Daytime into the night.
Yeah.
Like on Sundays is right.
Yeah.
We call it like a tea dance.
It's a happier vibe.
Yeah, happier vibe. And so I was asked to spin this, and I had never, like you at your first circuit party DJing, I had also never been to one of these tea dances.
Yeah.
So I was going in, and they're like, I asked, what's the vibe like? What should I play? And they say, play high energy dance music. I'm like, okay. But that's such a broad term. It can mean so many different things. So me, because I was so new, I thought high energy dance music. I immediately thought like Hardwell, festivals, huge drops, right? That's high energy dance music.
Right.
So that's what I showed up. That's what I prepared. So I show up to this tea dance and I just start playing these like totally inappropriate for that party drops, right? It just was not the right music.
Probably too hard.
Way too hard.
Yeah.
And so
ironically.
yeah. Within maybe 30 minutes to an hour, like the entire place cleared out.
Oh.
It was packed when I started.
Damn.
And they were nice, but the guy was like, these are the lowest bar sales we've had all year. And I was pretty mortified. So I come to find out what they meant by high energy dance music was like high energy pop.
Right.
Like Britney Spears Till the World Ends.
Right.
Straight up radio songs.
Eurodance.
Yeah, even Gaga's Just Dance. Eurodance would work. Yeah, or Rihanna, like all Rihanna stuff. So anyways, like that experience, because of that, I was mortified and I never wanted to experience that again. So I became obsessed with reading the crowd and also showing up with like multiple options of playlists, right?
Always have a plan B and C. Always.
Because you think the crowd's going to want something, but if you're prepared and you can go in other directions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where editing comes into play, you know?
Okay.
A lot of times I try to edit as much as possible because, you know, I ask myself, I say, okay, well, you know, I have this track that I know they're going to want to hear.
Yeah.
But they might be into the house version. or they might be into the the trancey version.
Yeah.
And then there's a tech house version that doesn't exist. So let me edit this track with that to have that option.
Yeah.
And that's kind of part of the creativity with editing. That's kind of like,
and editing is taking something and you're producing, you're adding some production elements to it to enhance it and change it.
Yeah, even mashups, it's like editing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've experienced that too.
Yeah.
But I try to always, I see people, like, I'm very aware of what's going on the dance floor. I see everything that's going on.
It's like people watching.
Yeah. So I see every single situation going on. And I see when people leave for the bar.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes people need a break.
Yeah.
And then there are times where it's like, oh, they just don't like this. So I quickly shift,
Yeah.
I used to be afraid to mix out in the middle of a track, and I'm not
Oh, really?
anymore. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not afraid to anymore.
To me, it's like a game. I'm kind of obsessed with bar retention, trying to keep people there as much as possible. But also I learned that DJing for me has been a catalyst for like developing myself.
Yeah.
Especially things like internal stories.
Yeah.
Because you're isolated, you're up on stage by yourself, you're putting a song on,
Right.
and your job is to read the crowd and to decide how it's going.
Right.
But then it can really like trigger all kinds of internal stories of they don't like this, they don't like the song, it's not going well. I've had nights where I didn't think was going well, and then I had people at the end of the night like raving, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're amazing! This is the best night." And I'm like, "Really?" And then I realized like, sometimes I'm in my own head, so I get to work through these kind of stories.
That happens, it's like self-doubt.
Yeah.
I have to, a lot of times I do, because I don't like to have that. I like to kind of go in confident knowing that I'm just going to make, this is going to be the best night.
Yeah.
So I do like meditation and yoga.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of like tell myself, like, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
You're not going to, you're going to play the way you have it planned. You're going to adjust when you need to. You're going to rock the crowd. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
And I think when going in with that mindset has helped me at least deal with that self-doubt thing.
Yeah.
Because it happens, as a DJ, we were just like, oh, do I suck? Do they love it?
Yeah.
But
and I also like to play things that I think probably won't do well.
Yeah.
But I'll play it anyways because like I want to hear it, or I just kind of want to just try it out. Do you do that too?
Yeah. I have tracks that I love and I know most people don't love.
Right.
And sometimes I'll save it to the end.
Okay.
So that if it flops, at least the people that really appreciate what I appreciate will be into it.
Yeah.
And the ones that are there for the other stuff will start to leave, but the night's over.
Yeah. Do you, how are you with requests? How do you feel about requests?
Request.
Because some DJs they hate it with a passion. I don't mind requests, personally.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind it if you ask for it, right?
Yeah.
If you ask for a request, I'm
like typing on their phone and they show you their phone.
I'm going to tell you like, I don't have that.
Yeah.
Or I have it, I'll take a look, and maybe play it in a bit.
Yeah.
But when you persist.
Yeah, there's a line.
And that line gets...
And you crossed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're probably not going to hear it once you cross that line, because it's like, I'm here to play for everyone, not just you.
Yeah, right. Sometimes they ask for things that I'm like, I can't play that here. This is not even a dance track.
Yeah. It's an ego thing, right? Some people feel like they need to control the room, and they see you as a DJ controlling the room, and they're like, I want to hear what I want to hear. And, they don't stop to think, when they're persistent, they don't stop to think, hey, maybe it's not all about me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's about the room. I should take in what's going on around me and just enjoy. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it takes being told no, enjoy the night, like get lost, to kind of snap someone out of that frame of mind of like me, this is my thing. I I run this. So
There's also the occasional makes a request and then I put it on, and as I'm putting the song on, they're like leaving the club or the party.
yeah,
That's
so,
happened a couple of times. That I just laugh because I think it's funny, but
or you play it and they
don't even notice.
don't even notice, and then
they ask again. I'm like,
you-
I played it,
I just played that.
Yeah.
And they're like, you did? It's like, where were you?
girl.
where did
Yeah.
you go?
I don't mind requests because to me it's market research. It's like they're literally telling me what they want to hear. And there's been a lot of times where I could kind of gauge what's bubbling up from the request. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, a lot of people are starting to ask for this song.
Right.
I saw an interview with Diplo once, and he put it well. He was saying that to him, DJs consume a lot of the culture, and then they curate it, and they
Oh, yeah.
right into
And
the space.
I think that's one of the good things about requests is I've been turned on to artists I didn't know about.
yeah,
You know, they'll tell me like play this band. I didn't know who
Bad Bunny
no, I didn't know who
If
Bad
you
Bunny
didn't-
was.
until the 100th request.
I'm Puerto Rican, but I don't know who Bad
Right,
Bunny is.
right.
No, Rufus the Soul.
Okay,
I had no idea
yeah,
that this was like a thing.
yeah,
And I think that music ran in a circle that I just wasn't hanging out in.
yeah,
And so after I got several requests for them, I started to check them out. And I was like, oh, okay.
yeah,
It's kind of cool, like Depeche Mode-ish.
yeah.
And, you know, it's cool.
We need some more remixes of Rufus. They don't really have a lot of big room remixes. Like I've wanted to play more of their stuff live, but the remixes I come across they're just too chill and moody and just vibey, but not necessarily big room party energy. You know?
Yeah, unfortunately, like labels used to spend money on remixes a lot more.
Mhm.
And it was a benefit to everybody, right? Because DJs, we would play stuff that maybe we won't normally play
Yeah.
and expose these artists to our audiences, right? Because now we remixed it.
Right.
And for the labels, they got that exposure. And for us, we got to check out new music, but also get paid and feature something that was totally like from the DJ standpoint
Yeah.
or point of view. And that's kind of like floundered a little bit with the major labels. Independent artists are still doing it, which is smart.
Yeah.
You're an independent artist, get remixes done.
Yes. Yeah.
Your stuff will go from
Yeah.
being played by like, you know, a couple people to like being played on dance floors around the world.
Yeah.
That's like I mean, you can't even pay for, like, I want to say you can't pay for it, but you can with a remix, but
But the value you're
the value is insane.
getting, yeah, it is crazy.
That is a very that is an often overlooked fact about Lady Gaga
Okay.
is that and Madonna. People wonder how they came up, and some of their stuff, you know, of course they were on the radio, but they didn't just settle for that. They were like, we want to be in the clubs.
Yeah.
We're going to pay for remixes. We're going to be in the clubs. We're going to be on the radio. We're going to be on your TV. That is like mega stardom, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to just putting out a track that people like, they play it, you get the streams, and you
Yeah.
know.
There's stories of how Madonna would just bug the fuck out of people. Right? She would go to DJs' place and she would like make them play her beats and stuff that they haven't released, and then she would just start singing over it or writing to it, and she would just really be persistent.
Yep.
To get on those
Gaga
tracks.
was the same way, and I think when you have artists that come up to clubs, they understand the value of a remix.
Yeah.
You know, when I got asked to do my first Gaga remix, I had done, I think, 1 or 2 remixes on my own because I felt like this is it. This is what is going to be big.
Okay.
So I did those remixes and I just played them in my sets, and I heard that she heard I was playing remixes of hers.
Oh, cool.
So she told her guy, give him an official mix because I like what he did with the other 2 tracks.
Yeah.
And I want to be in the clubs. Like I want I want remixes of my stuff in the clubs. Like it can't just be radio.
Yeah.
Very important.
You've got quite the work ethic.
I do.
Yeah. I mean, I've known you I don't know how many years we've known each other for. I don't even know now, 10 plus years maybe.
10 plus, yeah.
But you have your own label. You're touring all over the world. You're remixing, you're producing. You are developing independent artists. You were telling me on the way here that you're developing a couple DJs.
I am, and I have a few aliases that I'm kind of developing.
Right, I wanted to ask you about that. And these are for different genres of music.
Different genres, yeah. So, I mean, those of you that follow DJs and you know that when you get to know a DJ, you expect a certain sound.
Yeah.
And what that is great because it sells tickets and it gives you a core audience. But as a DJ, you kind of want to do different things.
Yeah.
And a way to do that is through an alias. You know, there are a lot of DJs that have aliases. Like David Guetta is also
Jack Back. Right?
Jack Back, and he's also part of Future.
Future Rave.
Future Rave
with Morton.
Yeah. And you know, Diplo.
Oh right, Diplo's a good one.
Part of Major Lazer. Part
LSD.
of Jack U.
LSD.
All this stuff.
Major Lazer.
All these aliases help you. You know, they allow you to do creative things without being punished. You know, like he's playing too different now, so I can't like get down with that. So I've been developing like a number of aliases and I have stuff coming up that I'm going to be putting out.
Yeah,
I've already put out a few things under aliases. I just haven't told anyone, but
it's out there.
It's
you
out
just
there.
have to connect the dots.
Yeah,
and I see you on TikTok. I see it's cool to see you definitely embody that embracing the culture, curating whatever's new and coming up. Like you just embrace it. You don't seem to be part of like the old guard that resistant.
No, I mean you have to evolve.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's evolve or die. It's like I feel, you know, I can always reference stuff, right? That is the value of being in this industry for so long. Someone can ask me. There's a lot you can ask me, and I probably know about it if it has to do with nightlife and dance music. But I don't hold on to that. You know, I'm always thinking, what's next? You know, who's hot right now? It's like Alex Chapman, for example. His music has nothing to do with what I do.
Right.
But I like his swagger. I like what he's doing. I like that he's writing for artists, that he's hustling, that he's...
Yeah, he's hustling.
We played a gig together. And, you know, I congratulated him. I was like, you know, congrats. You're like doing stuff. You're making things happen. Keep going.
Yeah.
And I had worked with Kim Petras years ago when no one knew her. And I had hung out with her. And I felt like, okay, I officially feel old because this artist that I think is, you know, I haven't been this excited about an artist since a pop artist since Gaga.
Yeah.
So I was like, this girl is amazing. I think she's the next big thing. But we hung out and I felt like the uncle hanging, you know, because although I'm open to it, I realized that I have, you know, decades of experiences and different chapters in my career. And that's what I bring to the table, that knowledge.
Yeah. But
to a new artist, you know, they're going to connect. She would connect more with like Alex, for example.
Yeah.
Because they're similar generation. But, you know, I'm always looking to work with new people and see what's new. And, you know, I'm not ever holding on to or resting on my laurels, you know?
Yeah. Where do you think things are going to go in the future with dance music, with queer dance, with our community and mainstream?
Hopefully there's eventually a lineup at EDC, Tomorrowland, these big festivals that has a stage for queer acts or has an area or a space for queer acts to shine in, to start. And then eventually I think lineups hopefully will reflect all communities, not just, you know, one community and okay, the queer audience is over here.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
this audience is over there. And, you know, eventually I'm hoping there's a more inclusion and more appreciation as opposed to appropriation.
We're starting to see it. We've got like Kalina Zanders.
Don't know who that is.
Do you know Kalina?
No.
Kalina. Do you remember that Chris Lake song, the remake of California?
Yeah.
The California.
Yeah. That was a great.
She did that. So Kalina, she's been a vocalist on a lot of tracks.
Yeah.
With mainstream DJs.
Yeah.
And then now she's signed to Helix and she's putting it, but she's the vocal. She's got that 90s. You guys should, if you could work together,
that'd be great. I love working with new vocalists.
She's got
it's
that.
Not new, but yeah.
She's got that 90s soulful
diva sound. We love that.
Crazy voice. But now she's DJing and she's singing in her sets as a DJ.
That's cool.
And she's playing all over. She's playing festivals and she's touring and she's part of the community.
Well, that's great.
And you got Honey Dijon.
Yeah, Honey's always been the exception. And I've always admired that about her.
Her work ethic too, because she's...
But at some point, I asked myself, like, there can't just be one.
Yeah.
And I think eventually there will be more. I mean, my friend Blondish, Vivian, she's from the community.
I've been trying to get her on the show.
She's super cool, super fun.
Cool.
I connected with her during the pandemic.
Okay.
I was checking out people that were streaming so I could start streaming, and I got turned on to her.
Okay.
And so I messaged her on Instagram.
Oh, cool.
And I said, I love what you're doing.
Yeah.
I love the whole bye-bye plastic thing. I love your vibe. I love your music. It's kind of old school but new, and your hippy-dippy vibe. Like, I just loved everything about her. So I thought she was just going to ignore me and just be like, who's this guy? But she messaged me and she said, is this Hector who used to turn it out at Stereo Montreal and Parking Montreal? And I was like, yeah, I used to play there. I was like, you used to go when I played there, in the 2000s? And she said, yeah, I used to go. I was at those clubs every weekend. It's what inspired me to DJ.
No way.
And she's like, I used to love hearing your sets. And I was like, oh my God. Wow.
You just never know who's in the audience.
Yeah.
All these years later.
It was pretty cool. And then she and I connected and I sent her tracks and stuff. And
yeah.
So, she's one that's kind of breaking ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there will be more. I think it's eventually, inevitable that lineups will have, a whole bunch of people from the queer community.
Do you think promoters, they're just waiting for the acts to come along, and there hasn't just been many options for them that are actually truly like on the caliber of, you know what I mean, in terms of quality of the music and the sound and the audience that they're bringing, or do you think they just don't? There's just not a lot of space that they're allowing for it.
I think it's a little bit of all of that, right? There's only so much space on the lineups, but I think that there's the business of festivals and clubs in mainstream. You go to a club like Omnia in Las Vegas, and they have to sell tables.
Right.
And those tables are being sold to men that want to impress women.
Right.
And no man that doesn't want to impress women is going to spend 20 grand on a table. So,
yeah.
I just think that there's that dynamic, the business side of it. And I think...
Yeah, when I had Kalina on, she mentioned about the bro culture and how like the John Summits of the world and Chris Lakes are still kind of like at the top of the mountain, and that's kind of for what you just said, kind of just the culture of the tables and
I mean, I think John Summit more so, but he, the thing with John Summit and Chris Lake is they have the music, and I think John Summit is more of the bro culture thing. He's doing
leaning
shots,
into it.
He's leaning into it, and that's fine. That's its own thing. I don't think that necessarily. You have to, that has to disappear. I just think that there just needs to be more diversity across,
Yeah.
It's like bringing the queer community into that space is not going to ruin, it's like, guys, you're still going to meet girls and, do your thing, and girls are going to meet you, and it's whatever fear you have is not like justified. You're actually going to have a better time, I think.
Yeah.
So eventually it'll change, I think.
Okay. Well, we should end there because we're coming to the end of this show.
Already?
Yeah. It goes by fast, right?
Yeah. That's quick.
I would talk to you forever.
You and I connect, so we get it.
But I personally edit everything.
Yeah.
So like all these cameras and stuff, like I'm the one that like lines them all up and goes through and edits everything.
Yeah.
I had Tommy Sunshine on, and we just he's a talker.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, this is fine, right? But it ended up being like over 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it took me like days to edit that. I was like, oh damn.
You wanted to talk about projects or to end or?
Yeah. What do you want to close on? What do you want to talk about? Make sure people know about.
Yeah, I own a record label, Audio 4Play Records, and we specialize in uplifting independent artists, and specifically independent artists that are coming up out of the queer scene, because a lot of times they don't, these artists don't have the money and the backup to really fully execute their vision or what they have in mind. So what we do is we back them up however we can. We say, okay, you don't have the money to get all these mixes and things done. We'll work something out and we'll make it so that it works for you and so that you get more exposure. And we've had artists like Vision, who's a Native American trans drag artist, and I have a few artists we're working with now, like Leonardo Martinez and Stuart Taylor, and a bunch of others that we're helping elevate through nightlife. So, watch out for upcoming projects on Audio 4Play Records.
Audio 4Play, number 4, right?
Yep, Audio, the number 4 Play Records.
Yeah. They'll check that out. And also, we're going to link to your socials.
Yeah.
If you're watching this on streaming, and if you're listening to this on Adobe Radio, if you listen partially through, my guest is Hector Fonseca, DJ producer, and the full video version of this is on all the streaming. So you can go on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and you can watch the full interview. You can watch the video version of it. We're linking to your socials. Hector Fonseca on everywhere, right?
Yeah, it's just at DJ Hector Fonseca.
At DJ Hector Fonseca.
Mostly.
Okay.
I think Twitter, but I don't use Twitter anymore.
X.
X, yeah.
Yeah. Are you on Threads?
I'm on Threads.
Are you on Threads?
Yeah, it's like automatic, right?
Yeah.
But I don't really use it. I use Instagram mostly.
Yeah, me too.
And TikTok. And
Okay.
SoundCloud, Spotify.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on Life Rhythms.
My pleasure.
This was good.
It's been a sort of full circle moment.
It really has. I guess I know we already ended, but like I guess I could mention in the intro, but just that I'll mention in the intro. But basically, like you helped me in my career.
Yeah, I found you.
Yeah, let's
when you were on your way up, and I said, this guy's good. He's doing good stuff. And I reached out to you.
How did that? I don't remember that.
I found you. I found some mixes you did.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I love what he's doing. And I reached out to you. And then we decided to do...
You had me open for you at
Pride,
New York Pride?
New York Pride, yep.
I'm still very grateful for that.
Yeah, of course.
Anytime
My pleasure.
Yeah, that meant a lot to me. I never got to spin a party like that before.
I saw the talent. I was like, I get asked a lot by promoters who to hire, who's new, like who do you think will fit here and there.
Yeah.
And that was one of those situations of like, who do you want to have play the first set? Like,
wow.
And I immediately thought of you. I was like, there's this great new DJ in New York, Ryan Sky. He's putting out great mixes, great stuff, and he's a really great DJ. So like, let's get him on. And I asked you were available, so it worked out.
Of course I was available. I was like, I'm free. Yeah, I don't have a...
That was at Fuerza Bruta, no?
Yeah.
The big high-flying act.
It was kind of like a Cirque du Soleil kind of a thing.
Cirque du Soleil thing. That was so cool.
I'll never forget being up in that DJ booth. That was my first time getting to play a party like that. That meant so much to me.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for that.
And here we are.
You're on my show in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. proud of you. I'm proud of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
We'll see you, everybody, next time.
Thank you for having me. And I'll see you guys on the gram.
Yes.
Again, Honey Dijon is one of those, like, we played together. At one point, she was talking to me about leaving New York because she couldn't afford to be there anymore because EDM was big and house music was not.
Yeah.
And she said, what are you going to do about it? And I was like, well, I mean, my sound's kind of big room, so it kind of fits. But I get what you're saying. And she's like, well, I have no choice. I'm moving to Berlin where they appreciate me.
Really?
And where I can, like, actually sustain myself and, like, be appreciated. And
Yeah.
she moved there. And the rest is history. It was the best decision she ever made.
Now she produced for Beyonce's last album. She
Yeah.
produced with Madonna.
Her rise has been incredible. I mean,
yeah.
she's designing for fashion houses. She's like a
Yeah.
muse for some of them. And then
She's headlining festivals.
she's headlining festivals.
Huge crowds.
It's completely in a space that's not built for her.
Yeah.
That started, you know, being queer and being LGBTQ, and then kind of went mainstream, and, you know, LGBTQ became not a thing at all. And she kind of like she's in there in the middle of, like, you know.
Yeah, she's at this intersection of
Yeah.
so many things.
Yeah.
And I love seeing her post. It's so beautiful to see somebody fully embodying themselves and fully have found their lane, and they're just at the full expression of their humanity.
To see it appreciated.
And to see it appreciated.
Because a lot of times it's not.
That's true.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that she can be herself fully and fully indulge in her vision of what, you know, she wants to put out there as an artist.
Yeah.
And do it, like, in a space that's built really for bro culture.
Right.
Is, like, insane. Like, you know, it's unprecedented.
And she's
really.
celebrated now.
Yeah.
She influenced Beyonce's latest record.
Yeah.
That was really cool to see Beyonce's record. How much of the ballroom culture is in there. Voguing, ball scene.
Yeah. I think
there's trans producers on some of the records. I was happy to see her.
Yeah, she that unique part is Peter. Unique
right.
Is what you are. She credits Peter for that.
Oh, right. Peter Rauhofer.
And I remember when she did the Roxy years ago, she made an appearance at the Roxy and Peter was DJing. Yeah, he would do edits of her stuff and play it. And eventually she hired him to do, like, official mixes. And she just loved, I think that stuck with her, that one experience. And her uncle was also a fan of Peter, so that's part of the reference. But the fact that to, like, queer twerk culture, to queer ballroom culture, it's like she really brought everything together.
True. That's true. Like the Lemonade stuff, like she's
really brought so many different cultures together. It's beautiful.